Vitae Spirits.
So we're really excited to welcome to the show Ian Glomski, PhD, founder, Vitae Spirits. Ian, thanks so much for coming back.
Thanks for bringing me in. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, you have the honor.
It's a pleasure for us too, I'll tell you that much.
It's a pleasure for us too.
It's nice to be welcomed.
Absolutely. No, you actually have the honor, I think, of being the first non-Urpí repeat guest.
That's right.
And the Urpís,
yeah.
we kind of host the show, so we're always
Yeah.
repeat guests. We're the guests that people get tired of and said, why are they back? But you're the first non-Urpí repeat guest on Today y Mañana, so we're really excited for today, because I know you have some amazing new creations that you're always working on.
Yeah, we've got lots of things going on. So I brought in some relatively new releases within the last month or two. I'm happy to show them to you.
Yes, let's do the big reveal.
Drum roll, please.
Denouement. It's actually funny because they're actually been marked up. Like we have to buy these bottles back from the government for me to pour them.
That's amazing.
For you.
That's
So we don't confuse our sold bottles versus our unsold bottles. We put like markers across the front and everything because actually we got audited yesterday by the ABC, so we had to have all of our ducks in order and everything like that.
To make sure.
Do they tell you when they're coming, or is it a surprise?
They gave us 48 hours,
Okay.
which is actually pretty short. In the past, it was usually a couple weeks, but they're trying to make it tighter and tighter.
Okay.
And that's the on-site inspection that they'll come in and they'll literally count our bottles. But we have a ton of documents that we're going to be supplying over the next week or so too, because we can't just like collect all this data in an instance. They give us a little bit of time to pull all that together. And I just brought that up because, unfortunately, like when I display the bottle, it's got like markers across it and stuff
who was
like
playing
that.
with the bottle?
Yeah, but both of these products though are what we call distillers reserves, which simply means that we make so little of them that the Virginia ABC system, we can't really supply enough to them. So they're things that we only sell directly, either at one of our tasting rooms or festivals or something like that. Because even like I think we had our smallest batch 3 months ago, there were 17 bottles produced. So
Wow.
So like, it doesn't make sense for me to ship it off into ABC stores and stuff. So that's just like what these things are.
So just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
even though I'm dying to hear what that is. So does that mean that those 17, you don't have to go through all the paperwork, or?
You do. It's the exact same amount of paperwork. But to be on an ABC store shelf, to get like whatever that 4 inches of space there, you actually have to present that to the ABC board and convince them that you're going to make them money with that 4 inches of space. If you do what's called the distillery only product, which is what these are,
Right.
you don't have to go through that process because they basically don't care. It's our responsibility to sell it. We're not taking up their space. We're not taking up inventory, like we're not filling up their warehouses. So it's basically anything that I produce as a distiller's reserve distillery only product, I just have to make the product, register it with them, give them the markup, give them the money from selling it, but they don't actually say yes or no, you can put that on the shelf.
Okay.
So
you still got to pay them, though.
Oh, absolutely. On average, our stuff is marked up by 105%.
Whoa.
Yeah, and we have to pay the feds after that
Thank
too.
you, AB.
Luckily, at the federal level, we finally got this made permanent, but we used to have to pay $13.50 per gallon, which is a lot of money.
That's
and then,
a lot.
like on a bottle that ends up being $1.70 or something per bottle. I can't do the math in my head, but anyways, quite a bit. So after the state and after the feds, we are the minority stakeholder in this entire process. Yet we put all the blood, sweat, and tears, and put the money up front. And honestly, I don't want to gripe about this too long because I am like recovering from the audit today.
Exactly.
But honestly, the industry is regulated such that we cannot be successful. I mean, really, they don't want us to be successful, and to some degree, they want to throttle our ability to sell our products and kind of like just have us simmering rather than doing really well.
Exactly.
And that's why all these things are in place ever since Prohibition, basically. So
Yeah, it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
So what do you have for us here so we can
so I brought
smile?
I brought two things, and considering it is before noon, I'm happy to pour either, but one's a little bit more appropriate. So the first one I'll mention is simply, I call it Conifer. And this is a collaboration with a chemical-free Christmas tree farm out in Fishersville near Stanton.
Okay.
And every spring, they have to prune the little green tips off of their blue spruce and their balsam fir. And so we intercepted them. And basically, I put them into our still and distilled it. So it's something kind of in the realm of gin. I can't legally call it gin because the federal government defines gin as a juniper berry containing product. So this has no juniper berry, so I can't call it gin. I call it Conifer, which is kind of just like cone-bearing tree type product. Okay. And it's super neat. Obviously, when people drink it, they think of Christmas, but actually I find it, we released it in the spring because that's when they did the pruning. But I find it kind of the freshness. I found it very good in the summer because kind of the cooling that you get from
like
all the
mint.
aromatic oil. Yeah. So that's what. So we have 2 different cocktails on our tasting room menu, and we just switched over to our autumn cocktail menu in the tasting rooms. We have 2 different things that have a little bit of that in there too.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. And then so the other one I brought is a maple syrup barrel aged coffee liqueur.
Oh.
Yeah. And so this actually has a little bit of a funny story, simply where people around town, a friend of mine, Michael Lamont at the Alley Light. He's the bar manager there. Oh, really good.
Yep.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He was playing with it. And he basically just took a couple bottles of our coffee liqueur and put it in a barrel to age it, so you get kind of the oak flavors. It just develops over time. And then we also gave it a try behind our bar, and people loved it. So I'm like, we ought to turn this into a product. So we basically scaled up and made it a real product. And this is a collaboration with Back Creek Farms, which is a maple syrup shack out in Monterey County. In Highland County near Monterey. And they age their maple syrup in ex-bourbon barrels. And when they dump that out, they then give us the barrels. So we have a little bit of residual maple, a little bit of bourbon in there, and that's what adds all the extra goodness to our coffee liqueur.
Wow, that's
Yeah. And so I'm very happy to pour either of them. I'm not sure if you want to have coffee or Christmas trees in the morning.
That's a good question. Wow.
I definitely got to try the
Christmas tree or coffee?
I would say if you're going to do both, I'd do Christmas tree first, simply because there's no sugar in it, and it's tough to drink something that has sugar and then go back. So
let's do both. Let's try. Let's try and make people smile. The audience, we're doing this. We're sacrificing.
We're doing this for you.
Yep.
We're sacrificing for you, the audience. and
little splashes.
Exactly. Oh.
I'll put very little because I don't think we have spittoons here for you to.
Oh no!
To spit it out in afterwards if it's too much.
It's too good to spit out.
We wouldn't spit this out. Trust me.
Oh, the smell!
I know.
Isn't
you
that
could.
neat?
Right, the aroma's great.
The aroma.
You know what's funny too is that the tips of the tree, the little green, fresh growth, has pretty different aromas than the true boughs. They're younger. I get a lot more kind of melon and citrus in them. And actually, so in the early colonial days, people actually used a fair amount of spruce tips and stuff in beers and everything because there's actually a little bit of vitamin C in it. So it helped fight off scurvy and all that too. So it just has the most delicate aromas too.
You can actually just taste it in the background, right? Wow, this is good, though.
And it does taste like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
It really does. You would think that that's impossible.
Yeah. And you might think that's a negative thing, but I think it's
No, it's a positive thing. No.
It reminds you.
I love Christmas, so this is like
connects with
Christmas in September. Why not?
Maybe
July.
the taste connects with your nose.
Yeah.
You get a sense of you taste it, and you get a little hit, and then suddenly you wait, I smell Christmas tree, but inside.
Yeah, but it's good. It's good when you
good.
smell it first because you do get the aroma.
Yeah, and that's like I said. I like it. Find it refreshing too. The freshness, like the cold winter breeze.
It's true. It's true. It almost has that cooling quality.
So who's the creative one? Are you the creative one that thinks of all these things, or do you also have?
Say yes and no. I told you a little bit of story behind the barrel aged coffee. It was kind of like a group thought. There's a bunch of contributors to that. But I would actually say that's often what I find most fulfilling in this business. Is I like playing with things and inventing new products. This was kind of like something that was in our head. Actually, another bartender at the LA Light, Clay, his uncle is the one that owns the Christmas tree farm. So he kind of just connected us and everything, and it kind of just fell into place. And it's something I've been interested in a long time, and it's a distiller's reserve because it's a little bit of a beta test. It's a new product. I didn't really know how it would be placed and received by the market. So I made a distiller's reserve. It's kind of out there beta testing, seeing if people grow fond of it, and we'll keep on doing it in the future if it ends up being something that's desirable. So
absolutely, and you encourage. I mean, the nice thing I love about Vitae is that you encourage the creativity even among the people that your customers.
Oh,
absolutely. You have the cocktail competition that just ended.
Exactly.
To really see what they could come up with with your with your product.
Yeah,
with your
yeah,
experience.
and we can diverge on that for just a little bit because we just finished that. Because as I mentioned, we basically change our cocktail menu at the tasting room seasonally. So every equinox and solstice, plus or minus, we change it. And so we, as the staff of Vitae Spirits, I have homework every night where I go and try to develop cocktails that I submit, and honestly, whatever's best gets on our menu. But we have so many enthusiastic customers, and with so many great ideas, every now and then we'll do a competition, and we get, on this last one, we probably got maybe like 13 or so submissions.
Nice.
Wow.
And we have to like pair them a little bit. We do have regulations we have to follow, and there's some things that have like fire, and like I'm like it's like we have to get
It's on fire every time.
So there's a certain level, staff level of paring it down to like what is kind of manageable. But then we pick 2 finalists. We make them for a weekend. Every customer that comes in gets to vote on their favorite, and we tally them up at the end. And the winner this year is The Campfire Story
The Campfire
by
Story.
Rod Fleischer. I think that's how I pronounce his last name. And that is kind of a rum and toasted marshmallow syrup.
Oh, interesting.
With blackberries actually too. So there's a lot of tastiness going on inside that
sounds
cocktail.
very
He's the one that won.
Blackberry.
So we had our second was very close. It was actually Chris Morales from Tonic.
Oh, okay.
He made this I'm Late, which was a carrot based. So it was a beautiful
Like
carrot
the little
juice.
rabbit. that
Yeah,
was
like
the
the
Alice in Wonderland.
yeah.
I'm late,
So that's
I'm
one of
late.
the things with cocktails. People always try to get like really crafty with the name too. There's all these innuendos and double entendres and
I love
stuff
it.
like that.
I
So,
love it.
yeah. Just
that's-
so I can give you a pour of this too.
Absolutely.
This is the
I'll sacrifice you.
barrel aged coffee liqueur. Splash there. I make all of our liqueurs at 80 proof, so this is pretty boozy. Usually they only have as much sugar in them as the federal government requires me to. Federal government says I have to put 25 grams per liter if I want to call it a liqueur. So a little bit of sugar.
Interesting.
That's what I usually do, but because this was in maple syrup barrels, it picked up a little bit more sweetness along with the maple syrup flavor and everything too. But yeah, this stuff is a little bit dangerous.
Just doing sweet and boozy.
And the base coffee is from Mudhouse Coffee Roasters too.
Oh,
They're the ones we use for our general coffee liqueur, and then we just use that same coffee liqueur recipe to put in the barrel.
Put into the barrel.
Yeah. The maple comes out the end
that
a
is
lot
good.
too.
It does. First you get that coffee.
First is coffee.
Yeah, and then the maple.
Then the maple syrup starts coming. Oh,
This is good.
this is very.
I mean, if you like creme de cacao, this is so much better.
Yeah.
This
yeah,
is better than
You know?
creme de
Yeah.
cacao.
Yeah.
This is.
No,
Wow.
yeah, this stuff's super. We'll be making more, but honestly, there's a very limited number of those maple syrup barrels, so we can't make very much. And that's what I think this one was. Yeah, we number these bottles, like if we make 308, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is, I think we made about 300 bottles of this.
Wow.
You know what I like about it? I mean, obviously it's a personal taste.
Yeah.
I'm not. Doesn't mean I don't like it, but I'm not necessarily a fan of like very very sweet liqueurs, right?
Yep.
But this has the intensity of a good liquor or whatever you want.
Yeah.
Spirit. There you
Yeah.
go. That's the word I was
Yeah.
looking. Spirit.
Spirit.
With a hint of that sugar, but then
Yep.
you can actually taste everything
Yep.
else, right?
And that's why, to some degree, people are somewhat put off sometimes when they hear that this is at 80 proof. This is pretty high alcohol, 40% alcohol by volume.
Right.
But having the higher alcohol content actually allows you to carry and mobilize flavors a lot better. And that's why if you get vanilla extract to put into your cakes and stuff like that, that's an alcohol. Because alcohol is a very good solvent for the aromas and everything like that. So like both our gin, which is at 90 proof, and this, I keep it higher alcohol content. So in a sense, we have more mobilized flavor.
Interesting.
And so that's a kind of a decision that we made. And really the base of this is rum. So we get a little bit of the kind of the caramelized flavors in there
Which
also
beautifully
too.
the sugar of the
Yeah.
rum with the maple syrup flavor.
Yeah.
Oh, this is one of my favorite
Now,
ones,
just
I have to
quickly,
say.
so like when you talk about the drinks that you have,
Yeah.
and seasonal. So like in the autumn, what do you concentrate on? Because I mean, for me, like autumn, you think of pumpkin and apples and things
Yeah.
of that sort.
And I mean, certainly there's
Cakes.
things that I would say are culturally associated with autumn. And we do have a pumpkin latte cocktail.
Do you really?
There's some crafty name of it. I can't remember what it's called. But TJ, our director of tasting room operations, came up with that one, and he was resisting it because like everybody wants
The pumpkin
the
spice
pumpkin.
latte.
Yeah, and like it was like too cliche. But he got so much pressure. He's like, we got to put something pumpkin on the menu. No, but like the campfire thing I was talking about. Like so
Yeah,
the
that's right.
submission.
That's perfect.
And so like so it tends to be things that have a little bit more gravity in terms of like little bit heavier. We do try to focus on kind of like the agricultural products of the season too. So we often have apple cidery based things
Right.
rather than something that's associated with spring like strawberries or something
Gotcha.
like that. So we try to both follow the agricultural cues, but also the cultural cues to some degree also. So
And over that, absolutely. That's fantastic.
No, that's good. That's
And
what
that's
I
what you
like.
want, is way that you can keep going back,
yeah.
right? And
Yep.
there's always something
Yeah.
new to
Yeah.
try and a
Yeah.
new way to experience the different spirits
I've
that
been
you
kind
have.
of amazing because we actually put all the cocktail recipes once we produce them on our website. So we have this growing encyclopedia basically of cocktails, and we're partly doing that so that we could go back and grab them. But we actually haven't repeated any of our seasonal cocktails yet either. So like, there's a lot of creativity out there always being tapped into.
That's fantastic. That's
That is
fantastic. No,
fantastic.
this is that's great because there's nothing wrong with celebrating the seasons, especially celebrating with a little spirit.
A little
Yeah.
spirit, a little.
Yeah.
You gotta have the
Spirit
seasonal
is so
spirit,
important.
right? And I think there's something coming up so you can celebrate this
That's
coming
right.
season. I know I'm very excited for
That's
it
right.
on October 9th, the First Street Fair.
That's
is
right.
back. So can you
Yep.
tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so like, so Vitae Spirits opened a downtown tasting room recently at the corner of First Street and Water Street, and so we kind of helped to revive, I would say. The First Street Fair was a pre-existing event that basically it's a block party on First Street between Water Street and Main Street that gets shut down and things happen. In the past, it's been kind of craft vendors and things of that sort. Since Vitae Spirits is down there a little bit, and it's definitely a collaborative effort. But I put in a fair amount of work to kind of make sure that it all comes together. And so we have wineries. We have Hark Winery. We have Eastwood Winery. We have Potter's Craft Cider. We have Vitae Spirits as kind of like the beverage end. And then Sombrero is bringing their food truck. They're parking at the end. And then Darling Boutique, Linnea, is organizing a fashion show. So we'll have fashion and stuff going on too. We got a band that we got connected to from the Music Resource Center, which is a nonprofit that kind of like promotes budding artists and things of that sort. So we have a great group called Abby Ellerglick. We assigned them yesterday. They'll be playing 2 1-hour sessions for that too. And then all along the street, we have vendor booths where we have artisans, we have jewelers, we have portrait artists, we have hemp wares and stuff like that.
Amazing.
So it's going to be a street fair, and that's basically from noon to 6 p.m.
Noon to 6, okay.
Crossing fingers for no rain.
No rain.
It's looking a little scary, but we're like a week out right
Oh,
now.
with a week out, if it says rain right now, there's probably a good chance it
As I
won't
say,
rain.
maybe that's a good thing.
It's a
Maybe
good
that's
thing.
a good thing.
Anything that I have taken to saying anything my phone says is going to happen a week from now, the opposite will happen. So that's what we'll
Oh,
do.
you got a great phone there.
Just a little weather app. I'm like, nah, it's the opposite. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
Because we don't want any rain on this parade.
Super.
So that sounds amazing. Between the live music, the amazing food, just
Yeah.
Sombreros has some fantastic food.
And you'll be giving
these-
out those
I know
drinks?
these amazing
Those
drinks.
Yeah,
full?
and so that's what we're obtaining. It's not in hand yet. An ABC license.
Okay.
Because basically we got a permit from Charlottesville to shut down the whole block.
Okay.
And then we're collaborating with the Bridge Progressive Arts Initiative as a nonprofit sponsor. So a lot of our proceeds will go to the Bridge, like $1 per cocktail or something like
So
that.
it's for a good cause as
Yeah,
well.
and honestly, having a nonprofit involved too opens up a lot of ABC license possibilities because there's just much more leniency in a sense when a nonprofit's involved. So they're actually kind of like our ABC license sponsor. But then they get something in return, and it's really good for everybody type situation. So yeah, and we hope this is like the beginning of a coming series too. Like it was basically shelved for the pandemic. It's an
Right.
outdoor event though, so it's a little bit more
Exactly, yeah.
attractive
Exactly.
to people and
Yeah.
everything. And October's usually a gorgeous
Oh, it's the
season.
perfect time
So
of
it
the
is.
season really
Perfect
to be
timing.
outside.
Yeah.
Oh, I will definitely be there. I wouldn't miss
Makes
this
two
one.
of us.
That makes two of us.
I know a young lady, if it's crafts, and she's coming.
That's true, that makes
she's,
three of
she's
us.
going to drag me there.
I know, we'll keep adding more Urpís to come to this, and we definitely encourage the audience.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can't miss it. I mean, there's so between the amazing spirits, the good food, the live music, the good cause.
Yeah.
I mean, what's not to like?
Yeah, it's a good package.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ian, it's been so fun to have you on.
Thanks.
It's always fantastic.
As always, it was a blast for me to come by here, too.
Yes, we know we
Thank you.
appreciate it.
And
so
salud.
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 Salud. Thank you so much. And as always, vitaespirits.com.
That's right.
You can find all of this. And
Yep.
we definitely encourage you to go to try the tasting room and see those distillers' reserves that are
Yeah.
there.